let's create metadata for an XML file. Most of you might already know what an XML file is, but let me show you our source XML file. So this is my XML file. I'm going to create metadata for this file. So let me show you how the file looks like. So again, if you want to, and if you don't know what an XML file is, the best place to learn about XML files or anything is like W3 schools. I think they have a nice explanation. Okay, but you will have different tags. So you will call it as a root tag and row tag. So there are different kinds of tags. There will be attributes. There will be elements. So we will call as elements, attributes, and etc. etc. So you need to know in order to create metadata for an XML file. As a matter of fact, in order to parse or create metadata for any file, you need to know what that file is and the attributes or different kinds of how that file is formatted and all. Otherwise, you cannot, obviously you cannot create metadata for that file or parse it. So in order to parse an XML file, first you need to understand what an XML file is. If you are going to do that in your job, obviously you have to know what an XML file is, how it looks, and what are these things. So you need to know what is a root tag, what is a row tag, what is an attribute, what is an element, on which attribute or element you are looping on. So you need to know all those things, otherwise you can't create. Okay, so if you look at this, we have this catalog as the root, and then if you see, for each book there is a different row. So you consider this as one row, then this is another row, this is another row, which says that this file is looped on the book. Am I right? We need to know that, because we need to understand that, because when we are parsing, we have to tell we have to loop that, you have to loop on the book attribute. Okay, so let's get into that, and we will right click, again create file XML. I will edit it because I already have one. So we have this step 1, same step 1, and in step 2 this is kind of different. Now if you see, we have input and output. Why do we have that? We never saw input and output for these, because for XML files the input schema differs from the output schema. So you have to create them differently. Whereas the remaining three, the delimited positional, both input and output, that doesn't matter. So that's why they doesn't have different input and output. So let's see each of them, input, XML, and output. Let's click next, and you have the usual file location, then the encoding and the schema viewer. You don't have the file viewer here, instead you have the schema viewer. So Talent automatically parsed it, and it parsed it nicely, and it is telling us that this is your root, then you have this thing, another attribute under the catalog, and then you have different elements here. So then click next. Then here you will have a window. This is different window. This kind of window you will have for XML, you will have it for JSON too. So this is so in this window you will see a couple of panels. You have source schema, target schema, fields to extract, and the regular usual window. Source schema is nothing but whatever the schema Talent got from the file. And in the target you have two windows. One is XPath loop expression and the fields to extract. So if you remember, I talked about the loop. Okay, so you have to give the path of the expression that you are going to loop on. If you look at the source file, as I said, each row is where is it looped? On the book expression, right? Book expression. So this book expression is going to be our loop element. So that's why we will mention it as /catalog, because we have a root tag here, /catalog, then the book. That's why we have to mention. The loop limit number is nothing but you just specify the maximum number of times the selected node can be iterated. So here it defaultly is 50. If you want to change that, you can. And what are the expressions you want to extract? So you will just select all this and drag and drop them there. So it will populate all of those. And you can even drag and drop them here. It will populate that. So once you do that, it will show you this red arrow for loop and this gray arrow for the fields to extract. So you can change the column names if you wish to. And once everything is passed, click on the refresh preview. So it will nicely populate the data for you and check whether everything is parsed correctly or not. And also make sure, what is my last record? My last record is BK112, book 112, and check whether you have all the records here or not, book 112. So everything looks fine. And then we have file viewer. It just shows you the content of the file. So a refresh preview will refresh and show you nicely. So this is how you parse. You basically have to understand your source file, then only you will know what is the loop expression and what are the fields that I want to extract. So then click on next. When you click on next, it will open you the metadata or the schema window. This is similar. And here we have a date field, and the date field expression, it says DDMMYYY separated by slashes. Let me check whether that's the case. Yes. So I have YYYY. Okay. So I have YYYY, and I think this is the month and the date. So if you look at it, it's not in that way. So we have to change that. It should be YYYY, or if you, so we have a menu which we call, for example, if you have any context created or any functions, what you can do is just press Control space. Then it will show up this window. So what it is doing here is now here. So as you can see here, Control plus available. So which is nothing but press Control press and you will get the different formats. You can just select one of the format of your input data type. So the format I want, it is not listed here. That's fine. I will select this and I will remove this. So this is how my date is formatted. If you look at it again, year 4 wise, because I have 4 length as for the year, then 2 for the month and 2 for the date. That's what I did here. Okay, so then everything is fine, and all the remaining options are same. Click finish, done. So that's how you create an XML input metadata. Now let's see how to create output. Creating output is similar. Again, you will right click, create file XML. But where does it differ? I will show you that. Let me select I will edit this. You will have the same. Here you will select output. Before we selected input, now you have to select the output. Next. And here if you look at here, I am using an XML file or XSD. XSD file is nothing but a definition file. That means it will only have the file column names and its data type. So XSD is different from XML. XML means you will have the data. XSD means you will have the definition of the XML file. So I have my XML file, so I have given that. So click on next. Similarly, you will have your linker source. This is from my source, but if you see, it doesn't say that what is the root, what is the next loop expression and all. So all it shows is different columns. Then you will build XML schema for those columns. Okay, how do you do that? Initially you won't get all of this. All you will get is a root. Then you will click on plus. When you click on plus, you will get different operations. Okay, what do you want to create? Do you want to create a sub element, attribute, or namespace? So catalog, book, as you can see, this is a sub element. Again, you need to know what these terms are. Sub element, attribute. Okay, sub element means it won't have any data. Okay, so catalog has book as the sub element, the first option. Okay, this is the sub element. It doesn't have any data in it, but sub element will have some attributes. Okay, so book is the sub element, then it has these as the attributes. So how did I get them? All I do is select everything, drag and drop on the sub element. Then it will ask, what do you want to do? Whatever you dragged and drop, I will say create as attribute of target node. So create as attribute of target node. My target node is book. I want to create all of these as the attributes to that particular node. So when I click OK, then I will get all this. Okay, and then I have to mention which is my loop element, similar to the last one. So how can you do that? Just select this, right click, and set as loop element. You have so many other options too. So like, if you want to add another sub element to this book, you can do right click, add. If you want to add an attribute, you can do that. Add a namespace, you can do that. Namespace, let me, does this file has a namespace? No, but that's fine. So you can do all those things. Disconnect linker means this linker, it will disconnect from that. Delete, it will delete. Loop element, as we say, set as group element. So all this actually we will go through them in later sections when we I think when we use XML map, I think. But you need to understand all these elements beforehand. Talent, it doesn't explain you this, because when you are working on a database, Talent expects you know about the database. So does I. So because we have so many sources, we have XML file, we have an LDF file, we have a JSON file. You need to know, if you want to work on those, you need to know what is a JSON file, what is an XML file. But I will show you how to deal with them. It's not that hard. Okay, so after clicking the loop element, that's it, done. Or if you can even import the metadata from an XML tree. If you already have an XML tree, you can import it from them instead of creating all these things. Okay, so that's how you create output metadata for an XML file using an XSD or XML file. If you don't have, you can even create manually. I will show you that next. So as I said, you won't have any source, but root, here I have root tag. So if I want to mimic the earlier one, I will have catalog. Then I will right click and I will add a sub element and I will name it as book. And then I have attributes to this. How many is, I think 6. So I can label it. I don't remember the label. I think ID. And then we have, what do we have? Maybe book description. Book disk. And I think couple of them. So you can create like this and you can create finish. That's it. You are done. Okay. So that's how you create output metadata for an XML file using an XSDR XML file and creating manually.